This is what going for gold looks like in the modern world of mineral exploration. In a famous old mine beneath Snowdonia, they're using modern technology to search for what they believe could be rich pickings. Now, the history of mining here goes back around 150 years, and in that time they've extracted around 3.5 tons of gold, and the team here believe there could be a lot more.
We're not only trying to reopen the mine here at Clogau, but we're exploring the whole Dolgellau Gold Belt, which runs for several miles past this site. And so far we've explored about 9 kilometres only of about a 25 to 30 kilometre stretch of a known gold belt in our own country, which is massively underexplored.
The gold mined here in the 19th century was of such high quality it attracted the interest of royalty, who've used it in wedding rings since Queen Victoria's time. Back then the miners had to rely on their own instinct and hard work to find the gold. It was a tough life, but the new generation of prospectors can rely on modern science.
I think the old timers took what was obvious, so we're now applying other geological techniques that they just didn't have available to them those times. One of them, as George said, is the diamond drilling. We can do exploration from their old workings and find parallel veins. In the last 50 or 60 years, geological knowledge has come on, geological science has come on in leaps and bounds.
Now, this is what we're talking about. This is from a previous period of mining. You can see the quartz and the gold. Now, this rock alone is worth quite a lot of money, and sadly, it's not a free sample. It's a painstaking process, but the current thinking is it will be around a year before any final decision can be made. But there is a long-term vision.
We're very responsible operators. We do things properly and by the book in terms of regulations, but we also want to bring something back to this community. So that's why we have this idea of, as you say, an interpretation centre or a museum that educates people about the history here, and hopefully not just the history, but the present and the future.
So they know there's gold in them there hills. It's just how much. Ian Lang, ITV News, Snowdonia.
Well, the Clogau-St David's mine was first started in about 1854. Its heyday was the second half of that century, the 19th century, and into the first half of the 20th century. What we know is that it produced about 100,000 ounces of gold in its time.
And some of that gold, it's got royal connections, and where did it go?
Yeah, it does. From about Queen Victoria onwards, as we understand it, the royal family have used Clogau gold in particular for the wedding bands for their weddings. So all the way through to Princess Diana, Princess Catherine and Meghan. So it's had that royal connection really for the last 100 years or so.
During that Victorian time, it was massive. There was the Dolgellau Gold Belt. It was massive here, wasn't it? I think not many people know that.
You're absolutely right, and that's what we're exploring. We're not only trying to reopen the mine here at Clogau, but we're exploring the whole Dolgellau Gold Belt, which runs for several miles past this site. And so far we've explored about 9 kilometres only of about a 25 to 30 kilometre stretch of a known gold belt in our own country, which is massively underexplored. And we've already found 10 different gold targets that nobody knew about until we started this work.
I take it that the land the gold is on is all private. It's not, because you know what it's like in the Yukon, so you'll see people with wagons and mules.
Absolutely.
What are the rules and regulations around that?
Well, we get our licence from the Crown Estate, so essentially the Crown, the Queen, is the rights holder to all the gold and silver in the United Kingdom. So we derive our rights from the Crown. But yes, you're absolutely right that most of the land is private land, so we've got very good relationships with all the landowners. We actually own the land that we're standing on where the Clogau mine is, but in other respects we would be entering into private agreements with landowners to go on their land and explore, and that's what we've done. And people are very positive about what we're trying to do here. Can you come in a little bit, that's it, sort of stay around there for a bit of atmos. Faces towards us for they like the torches. It
is, I say, it's exciting. When I heard about it, it's exciting because you don't think of this part of Wales as having necessarily that sort of mineral wealth.
No, you're absolutely right. But I mean, people in the know, people who are local, they have amazing stories of their great-grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers who worked down this mine. So local people do know the history of the mine and are very proud of it, actually. So we've had immense support over the last 3 or so years that we've been working here.
Is there any estimates? Is it possible to estimate what it could be worth? I mean, it's a journalist question.
Yeah.
Or is it just impossible?
It is impossible. What we can say is because of its scarcity, because of its heritage connection and because of its royal connection, Clogau gold has always fetched a premium on the normal price of gold. It is gold like any other, but it's always had that cachet. So we would expect to get a 3 to 5 times premium on normal rates of gold. But of course we would control that market, so we will decide how much of the gold that we find we will put into the market at any one time and try to control that price. But it certainly helps a lot with the economics of what we're trying to do here.
And in timescales, I get the sense that you're advanced, or where are we in terms of this process of starting the other stuff back out again, or you testing? Tell us about that.
We're in exploration, but this is a brownfield site. This is an existing mine. It's got massive underground development here that would cost us millions to have to put in today. So we take the advantage of that, but what we do on top of that is to use modern mining methods and exploration methods that have never been employed here before. So, the process will be, we hope, a 2-year process to find the zones of gold that have not been worked before, not been mined before, in enough quantity to support a decision to reopen the mine. So we're looking at a year, 6 months to a year of exploration, followed by a 6 months to a year of planning, and then hopefully a decision to allow us to reopen the mine.
At the moment, this thing is still in the balance, really. You're also putting a lot of work into it, but it's a balance.
It's always a risk-reward business, the mining business. So it's absolutely, we are putting a lot of effort and money and resources into this. So it's a very serious endeavour. We think that there is an untold story here. No one has drilled underground before, to our knowledge. So it's incredible, really, when you think about it. The old timers used to just chase the gold vein, the quartz vein, as they saw it into the hillside and chiseled it out, essentially. Well, we're going in with proper drill rigs to go in 50, 60 metres into the hillside to get the right zone, and then to go in and bulk sample it, so take several tons of material out for processing. So we're doing things that have never been done before.
And it's the right time to be doing it. I mean, I know we're talking Brexit, we're talking about an unstable world, but whenever there's a sort of sense of instability in the world, gold is a good place for people to put their money, isn't it?
It is a safe haven, you're absolutely right. And I mean, the gold price touched $2,000 an ounce very recently, which is an all-time record high. So we are certainly exploring for gold at the precisely right time in the market. That's definitely going to help us.
And it's good for Wales.
It's fantastic for Wales. As I say, I think the people are very proud of the mine and its history. We will be an employer should this get off the ground properly. We are already an employer in a small-scale way. We are obviously using a lot of contractors and a lot of civil engineering and all sorts of other people that are employed from time to time. So I think it will be a very good thing. We will hopefully put in place a mine museum as well to educate people about the history of Clogau. So I think it'll be very, very beneficial.
So there's an economy, a very clear economy link here. It's just about taking the gold away. It's going to be hopefully jobs. You can't say how many jobs.
No.
But we say jobs generally, and an interpretation sense. It's an interesting potential there.
It is, yeah. I mean, we don't like to. We're very responsible operators. We do things properly and by the book in terms of regulations, but we also want to bring something back to this community. So that's why we have this idea of, as you say, an interpretation centre or a museum that educates people about the history here, and hopefully not just the history, but the present and the future.
Okay, for the record, you are
My name is Mark Austin, as in the car, Austin.
AUSTIN.
Correct. I'm the senior geologist for ALBA. So concentrating our efforts right now, I am anyway, on the Clogau gold mine.
What is happening here? What are your hopes?
Okay, so what we're doing, Ian, is looking at brownfields exploration, and the definition of that is exploration around an old mine or a known ore body. Basically what we're going to be doing is looking for extensions to the pay shoots on strike and in depth. So the old timers who mined in the late 19th century, early 20th century, they were fantastic at what they did, but they were great observationists. They were very good at observing what they did and extracting what they saw. They didn't have any scientific background to interpret what they were mining. And that is where we now have an advantage. So we can gather all the information that they have, that they did here, and we can reinterpret it with our scientific knowledge. Because in the last 50 or 60 years, geological knowledge has come on, geological science has come on in leaps and bounds. So we can apply that.
The quality of what it's not about a huge mining project, it's about the quality that you get.
Yes. Yeah, it's basically the ore body. It's a quartz vein system trending from the northeast down to the southwest. The quartz vein goes through a shale unit called the Clogau shales. There is a complex relationship between the shales and the quartz itself, and the mineralization of the gold in the quartz. So where the conditions are favorable, the gold is then deposited in the quartz vein. Yeah. Where the conditions are favourable, the gold is then comes out in the gold vein, mineralises the gold vein. I believe that the average grade of everything we mined up to date, in the past anyway, was 17 grams per tonne, which is a heck of a high value for a gold mine. There's a lot of coarse gold here as well, a lot of incidences of visible gold, and that's why you get people in the streams as well panning for the gold as well, because the gold has been eroded up from the mountain down to the streams.
I mean, people sort of think, the Dolgellau Gold Belt is something that belonged in the 19th century, but it's still essentially still a gold belt. It's still here.
Absolutely, it's still here. Yeah, I think the old timers took what was obvious, so we're now applying other geological techniques that they didn't have available in those times. One of them, as George said, is the diamond drilling. We can do exploration from their old workings. And find parallel veins if we can. If we find a parallel vein, then we've got a whole new ore body to mine. And the beauty of it is there's already infrastructure here in the mine which we can utilise to do the mining. So we don't have to sink a new shaft or anything like that. We use the infrastructure that's already here.
It's a big area though. It's a surprise. I just thought it was a mine. It's a big area looking at, a lot to look at.
Yeah, the Clogau mine is probably about 1.5 kilometres, 2 kilometres in total length. We've concentrated on the first 650 metres, the western area. It goes down to about 250 metres below surface, but we believe there's a lot of potential at depth, and as I said, parallel quartz veins as well, yes.
When you talk about the gold in the river,
Yeah.
again, in terms of people going to they just can't turn that. Again, that's privately owned, essentially, isn't it? It's all
Yes,
privately owned.
they shouldn't be panning. They probably get permission or should get permission from somebody to do that. But there will be nuggets in the rivers. I mean, everybody knows that. It's common knowledge here.
In terms of the process, then, it's open. How long have you been here so far?
About 2 years.
We've been 2 years. Is it the next 2 years, which is the critical phase?
Yeah, we've really ramped up now. We've really ramped up the exploration now. We're doing diamond drilling. We'll probably get about 500 metres of diamond drilling in before we have to close down the end of September for the winter. We're also doing what's called bulk sampling, and that is taking up to 3 tonnes of bulk ore and then processing that, and to understand how the gold is mineralised and how the gold is present in the quartz vein. So what we're going to be doing is taking one sample now, 3 tonnes, to a facility in Cornwall, and we will then mirror image the plant or the processing plant that we want to put on here, and then it gives us an idea of how much gold we can recover, and from there the economics of the project.
So, say another 2 years, you'd be ready to make a decision on opening the mine, reopening the mine at that point maybe,
Yeah.
and then that's when the big things will start to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to be a big mine, because it's just the nature of the ore body itself. But it'll be a high-grade mine.
Yeah.
So you don't have to mine a lot of tons to get a lot of gold out. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.